First year we had 700 applications, and last year, after 5 years, we had 7,800, so 10 times more.
What do you think about generational trends? I mean, at this point, I guess most applicants are Gen Z or what's called Gen Alpha.
Alpha, yeah. I know that when I talk to an international student, I must try to foresee what is his next question, their next question.
If a university or another educational institution is trying to understand what kind of tools and software to use, how would you guide them? What criteria should they be mindful of in terms of finding the right tool?
For us, it was something for the first time tailored to our needs. And I always remember when I had the first call with the IT support, I had someone not from Pavia, but from Estonia talking to me and understanding me. So we had the same language. It was talking a bit, it was telling me about applicants. It was telling me, oh, what happens if they, I don't know, miss a document in their file? What happens if, and to me, that was very comforting. I felt understood.
Whether I make a decision to admit someone or not admit someone, this can have a major impact on their careers and their lives. I'm curious, what's your relationship with this thing? Is this kind of a pressure that you feel you have to transcend, or is this does this have a positive impact on your day-to-day work and motivation?
As I always say, and also it should be here somewhere, may the student in you live forever.
Hello and welcome to EdTech Pancakes. I'm your host, 𝐓𝐢𝐦𝐻𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬, and my special guest today is Daria Milone, who's the head of admissions at University of Pavia. Daria is an absolute champion of admissions management and student recruitment. Her team has achieved remarkable results. In 5 years, they've managed to increase their student applications by 1000%, which is a number that already speaks for itself. So we're going to dive into how Daria and her team achieved this and hopefully decipher some actionable insights that all educational institutions can act on. Daria, thank you so much for making time for this and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rasmik. Thank you for having me and inviting me to the show. So let's talk about admissions, international admissions then.
Yes, I have a list of topics that I want to go through, but I thought we would start. Give us a little bit about your background because you're obviously very passionate about admissions, student recruitment, perhaps international student recruitment more specifically. What prompted this? How did you come to appreciate this field so much?
So thank you for asking me. So I've been studying international relations, and after graduate, well, I've been studying at the University of Pavia actually, and after graduation, I started working at the University of Pavia as an internationalization manager, working for a specific master's degree as administrative staff. I was actually working at the master's degree that I studied at. So I was a student before, and afterwards I was a support staff for international students, for actually all the students studying at the master's degree, but especially international students. There were always the students that came with more questions rather than the Italians one. And after that, this happened actually 10 years ago. So this year is my 10th years that I've been working at the University of Pavia. And in these 10 years, actually, I saw the internationalization progress that the university, that the institution did. So apart from numbers, so we will dive in to that later, but I really saw the change happen. It's the cultural change that really happened. So international students were a small part of the rest of the student, and also the governance at the time was starting, the governance of the university was starting to open the University of Pavia to the international world. And of course, they already had international agreements, Erasmus agreements, but degree seeking wise, it was different. So we started, and then in 2021, so now it's 4 years, the admissions office was created, which to me was a very big success because, again, we were, as I was in the department administrating that specific master's degree, there were other 4 people like me. So the University of Pavia had few master's degree, few degrees taught in English. And now we were 5 people, we combined. I became the responsible person for the team, and then we started this new adventure with the admissions office, which was very great. We had the chance to centralize things that we were already talking between each other. We were trying to share best practices, but also what was happening with international students, because at the end of the day the situations are always the same. Of course, the didactics is different. Someone studies engineering, someone studies international relations, but still, at the end of the day, the person is always a person. So, and we became with the adventure. We began the adventure of the admissions office, and after 3 years, last year, the team expanded, and now we are 11 people. It basically doubled, because still the governance of the university was very, what is foreseeing in the future. I believe the international students are the future. So it's very important to support people who are already working with and for international students. And we started a new team still under the admissions office, although they are not credential evaluators. So right now the team is composed in 2 other teams. One is the senior admissions officers who currently working with DreamApply, who manage applications, who are all credential evaluators. They are all senior credential evaluators. And another team of this group of people that we called international local manager. I know, international local, it's a bit of a dichotomy, because they are international managers, but they are in the local, they live locally, in the sense that they are spread all over departments. They are 5, and they have an hectic schedule, in the sense that every day, one day they are somewhere, the other day they are somewhere else. We did our best to communicate this to the students, so they know that if they want, they can go and see this person, and their role is to support the students throughout their university career. Of course, the University of Pavia, as you can imagine, is shaped in several offices that do several things. And we don't want to recreate all these offices, but we want to have these people being like a bridge between the student and the administration, and the offices, so they don't have to, walk around, spin around. And so this is the idea. And as far as now, it's been 1 year and a half, it's going very well. So this is how we're structured, and this is what we've been doing these years.
That's beautiful. And obviously, internationalization of higher education is something I think we share, that we care about. And DreamApply, this is one of the things we are very passionate about. And actually, another podcast guest that I had, Dr. Sebastian Bruque from Spain, he told about his research on internationalization of higher education and how this has implications beyond the university itself, just in terms of diversifying the whole economy and bringing the most demanded skills. That's so interesting. And I loved what you said, international but local. I remember there was a meme circulating a few years ago, which was think global but act local. So I resonate with that. When I speak with admissions officers or admissions directors, one thing that comes up is I think most people feel a certain degree of mindfulness about, well, this is whether I make a decision to admit someone or not admit someone, this can have a major impact on their careers and their lives. I'm curious, what's your relationship with this thing? Is this kind of a pressure that you feel you have to transcend, or is this does this have a positive impact on your day-to-day work and motivation?
So that is a great, I don't want to say question, but philosophical question, because we are aware as admission officers that we impact on people's life in a way or in another. Of course, yes, you're admitted, no, you're not admitted. So we are very fully aware of that. And unfortunately, we have constraints in the sense of numbers, specific seats allocated to that specific degree, entry requirements, and we need to, respect all of these. And of course, sometimes you have people that don't have the entry requirements. You have people that fail the interview. You have people that could be admitted to the program, but the seats have already been allocated. So I mean, if it was for me, I would not, I mean, you know, everyone should have access to education, but sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, but then you have to, you encounter other things that are, of course, when you come to Pavia and stay in Pavia and stay in classes, and then we open other questions. But so back to the previous philosophical question, it's not easy to say to the people, you failed, or your entry requirements is not enough, or the worst is when you say you have passed, you have passed the interview, you have the entry requirements that are needed, but there are no more seats allocated to the course, so you're in a waiting list. And so whenever we have this conversation, we try to be as transparent as possible. At the end of the day, for master's degree, we have a commission of professors that do the didactic part, in the sense that they interview students, or they check on the documents, their GPA, their exams grades. And so if there are some doubts, students can always ask us. And if our answer is not enough for them, we redirect them to professors so they can be more clear on what was their evaluation. So that's it. I mean, we will always have we will always have 8,000 applications. So it's a big number, and we process each of them as if they were the people that were going to be admitted, and they were going to be enrolled, and then they were coming to Pavia.
Beautiful. That's very inspiring. And that's our purpose as well, also to facilitate this understanding that it's not, just one line, it's an actual person and it has this background. So we're very much in for holistic student admissions. I'm curious if there is an aspect of your work that you enjoy more than other aspects that you potentially find more challenging, or what are your thoughts about that?
So I mean, now I'm not as much as managing in the particular as I was before, of course, because managing people, it takes time, and I think it's important that you take the time to manage the people, and also to have an overview to all the goals that the office has. And so I don't have anymore that relations one-to-one with the applicants. But I implemented the DreamApply platform at the University of Pavia, and I worked with the DreamApply IT support, and then I worked with my colleagues to share them what was going on, how DreamApply works, how interactions are with the students, with the applicants. And then what I like the most is to create new procedures, create new ways of doing things. And this is something that now I do more. I mean, with creating the admissions office, we had the chance to create the new, because there was nothing before. Or we had some things. The same thing happened when we implemented DreamApply. I mean, I always say that I'm a great fan of the managing system, because before we didn't have anything, in the sense that some of us had some homemade platform. Some of us simply we had the email, so we asked applicants to send via email all the files, and then you can imagine all the attachments to the email, and then oh, I forgot the file, then here is the new one. And when this opportunity happened to Pavia, it was 2018. The admissions office was not created yet, but we were already working together. As I told you before, we were 5 people. We were already working together. And for us, it was something, for the first time, tailored to our needs. And I always remember when I had the first call with the IT support, I had someone, not from Pavia, but from Estonia, talking to me and understanding me. So we had the same language. It was it was telling me about applicants. It was telling me, oh, what happens if they, I don't know, miss a document in their file? What happens if, and to me, that was very comforting. I felt understood. And so we had the chance, I had personally the chance with other people in the team to create and I would say shape for the first time the new system of application at the University of Pavia. And year by year, we had to, adjust things, of course. We added new rules, we added new tasks, and then DreamApply had new updates and keeps on having. So we, say, what happens if we introduce this or we leave that? So yes, I mean, creating new procedures, it's something that I enjoy the most, I would say.
Thank you for sharing that. So you're an optimizer. We love that. I definitely want to talk more about DreamApply, but before we get there, maybe a more general question. With all these years of experience in student recruitment, what's something about student recruitment that you've come to believe that most likely other peoples would disagree with?
Interesting question. I really need to think about it. Well, maybe the first thing that comes to my mind is the level of, I would say, care and attention and anticipation of the needs of the international students. In the sense that compared to the level of support that is given to Italian students, I'm talking about the University of Pavia, and of course, the University of Pavia now has 27,000 students. So it's a big number. And of course, I don't pretend and I don't even believe that it's doable that, the other offices have the same care and attention to all 27,000 students. Having said that, I know that when I talk to an international student, I must try to foresee what is his next question, their next question. Because part of me knows that at one point, or maybe just later, they will ask the question to me. Or because I just know that maybe there is no way he knows that because he just knows that, as sometimes happens with Italian students that, of course, grew in this academic system. So maybe there is. So sometimes I've been, let's say, fighting in a good way with the other offices whenever I wanted to provide, give more, just because it was not enough that this information was written on the website, or it was not enough that we put, I don't know, a label somewhere. We had to re-underline it to the international student.
Beautiful. So essentially, it's getting out ahead of it, not waiting for the question to arise, but actively anticipating it and communicating it as a resource to them. I resonate with that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk specifically about international recruitment a bit later, but let's talk a little bit about tools. If a university or another educational institution is trying to understand what kind of tools and software to use, how would you guide them? What criteria should they be mindful of in terms of finding the right tool?
So I would definitely say some tool that has the possibility to gather information, documents, and can be tailored to each institution's need. And most of all, that is user-friendly, either for for the students, for the applicants, and for the staff. So these, for me, are the fundamental and essential feature that a tool should have. Absolutely, absolutely.
Beautiful. And now you've had a chance to work with DreamApply for quite a few years. In a few words, what's your general impression of DreamApply as a software for student recruitment and admissions management?
So I honestly say that I'm a great sponsor of the system. As I told you before, we have been, apart from the fact that we were coming from something that was not and wasn't a software, but now we have a system that has the chance to collect applications, give us as admission staff the chance to see the applications, the applicant life throughout each step, even before they submitted the application. And when they submitted it, whenever we have some of the students that writes us, we are able to just, putting the email address on the browse to see where is the student, what is happening, why is it stuck, and other things. And of course, we have the feature of the tables, for example, that allow us to do whatever we need to do. And also, another very fundamental thing that has never happened before, and I mean, we can do with DreamApply, is to have advisors, professors, admissions committee enter the system. And for us, it's very helpful because we don't have to download Excel files. We don't have to send it to them. We don't have to download documents and share and do, put them in the cloud. And we have everything there. They do whatever they need to do there. They have their notes. They can write the notes. They can rank them. They can do most of the work. And I mean, in these years, we have, I don't want to say all the committee are there, because still we have some professors that have different ways of evaluating students, but still most of the committee are now there. So that is a very great feature too. So
thank you for sharing that. And as I shared in the beginning, you've had phenomenal success. 1,000% increase in applications is very impressive. Could you share a little bit more about some of the results that you and your team have achieved that's meaningful for you? And if there are any specific strategies or features within DreamApply that were fundamental for it, maybe you could comment on those as well.
Sure. So yes, we first year we had 700 applications, and last year, after 5 years, we had 7,800, so 10 times more. And of course, this was a process. Several things changed in these 5 years, and every year we added new variables to the system. First of all, the number of degrees of bachelor's or master's degrees that were available in English, for example, they grew. So the number grew. So of course, that was a big variable that impacted on the number of applications and the number of future prospective students that could be interested in Pavia. Then also another great and fundamental role was made by our international marketing office. We have a specific, it's another team, and they do a great job. They do international fairs, they do international marketing and recruitment, and we work with them, of course, and we were able to, harvest the fruits that they put there. Yes. So this is what was happening. And then the team, the admissions office, when they are a great team, they're really super fantastic team, and I'm always grateful to them. And I think that's something that helped the number of the applicants to increase was also the user friendliness of the system. It's easy to use DreamApply as an applicant. Of course, doing an application is time consuming in a sense that you need to stay there, you need to fill in the app form, and also to attach, because we have several tasks. Well, every year we try not to add new tasks, but we have several tasks. So you need to stay there to have all your documents ready, to answer the tasks and the status, and then you do that. But I believe that on the applicant side, it's easy to use the software. And on our side, we are always available to support the students whenever they need it. Honestly, we have never, maybe never not, but like we have had very few students, very few applicants who asked us, how should I use the task? Or how should I, I don't know, confirm this? Or because everything was very clear on the system side. Maybe we were not that clear when we requested the information, so we had to readjust maybe the specific question. So not sure whether I answered your question, but yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you've mentioned marketing. What do you think about DreamApply's utility as a marketing tool specifically?
So I'm not, as I maybe I told you sometime, I see the number, I play with the numbers, especially on the filters. I really like to, see and things. And then I keep the numbers to the people who really manage the numbers, which are, as said, the international staff, the international marketing staff. So we know that there are some features on the marketing side. For the marketing side, they work with leads, and we are very recently we asked DreamApply for a meeting to maybe explore and expand better our needs and how the system can match our needs. specifically international marketing needs. So I think there's always space for growth, as is always everywhere, and a great way of listening to each other. So and try to find solutions, or maybe try to understand why we need that feature and find a workaround, or maybe say, okay, let's dive into it, let's see what we can do, let's circle, and then we provide an answer. So there is another thing that has happened in these years. We had several, I don't want to say proposals, but we, whenever we thought something that could be useful for us or in general, we always brought to the support. And most of the times the answer was either these, or we will work on that, and then after a while it was released, or maybe it's not on our priorities at the moment, but we will put it there and we'll see what happens. So
Beautiful. Yes, so many of our features have come directly from educational institutions. So if for anyone listening in this interested in DreamApply's marketing utility specifically, we've published quite a few blog posts as well on our website going into specific aspects, attribution, paid marketing efforts, how to integrate it, and so forth. But maybe two more questions about DreamApply before we get back to the nitty-gritty of student recruitment in general. What do you think about DreamApply as a tool for Italian universities specifically? Because recently, for example, we've integrated with the PagoPA system, but beyond that, for Italian universities, what makes this particularly useful?
okay, so again, I'm a proud sponsor of the system with Italian universities. I've been, talking to other universities, because when there were gatherings to, share best practices, or just meetings for something else, then we had the chance to discuss that. And I've always sponsored DreamApply just because we are really working with that very well. I think that, first of all, the more we are with the system, the more impact we can have in things such as Italy. Most of Italian universities have a specific CRM to manage students' careers, academic careers. So 3 years ago, this integration finally was made. And we were one of the first universities that had the integration made, on which we worked for quite some time, and we made it. And this feature, this integration, really, I think it's fundamental. When you asked me at the beginning why it is important, this is the feature. This is the feature that we honestly love the most, which is once the applicant has been admitted, then it goes into the managing system database, and from there it's an enrolled student, and the student does not have to register again, to upload again the documents and all the things that they have already done at the beginning. So this is one of the best features. And if the more universities we are, the more Italian universities have DreamApply and have this system, then we can make it better, we can improve it, and have the best experience for the student and for the staff, for the staff. So that is the most important feature. Also the PagoPA that you mentioned. Again, we are aware that recently there was this new integration, but we already had something with PagoPA, because our IT, again, great system, great team. The IT of the University of Pavia, the colleagues they really did a lot of great work. They believed in us as well. I want to say that they believed in DreamApply, they believed in the admissions office, and they did a great job in supporting us. That, of course, we are not IT experts. And so we already had some PA connections, that connection that we still use. So now we are aware that there is a new, or maybe an official connection that we for sure explore if it can, make better our system. So I really want to, I really sponsor the system, the DreamApply platform, because I believe it's a great platform to manage applications and the student's career when it goes to the other students' career database.
Thank you so much. And we definitely appreciate you as a champion of all of that. And in terms of IT managers or IT strategists, yes, I think together with admissions officers, student recruitment officers, or marketers, they're among our absolutely favorite people. Maybe one last question about DreamApply. If a current user of DreamApply is listening to us right now, what would be your advice in terms of maximizing its potential benefits?
You mean as a admissions office, as admission
Yes.
office? Okay. Well, first of all, you should put on DreamApply all your academic offer. I'm still thinking as Italian university, meaning that in Italy we have some nationally regulated programs, and sometimes having applications for those programs is not easy. Having applications on DreamApply for those programs is not easy because there is a national call. They need to register on a national website. Still, I want to share that we managed a way to still have the chance to evaluate those applications and or find a way to use the DreamApply program window as a windows to your programs, to your all offer, teaching offer. We put there all our teaching offer. We know that there are some, for example, medicine. We know that they need to do specific steps, but still we put it there. So some perspective that browses the system can still see what the University of Pavia offers. Of course, it's a different procedure. Most of the time, it's a bit more difficult than difficult meaning a bit more time consuming, as I was saying before. You need to have to put more effort on that because you need to register maybe to different platforms. But still, the informations are there. You know how to do that if you want to apply for that specific program. So that would be a suggestion.
Beautiful. I agree with that completely. I mean, even if you have an offer that you have to process through another software, putting it on a DreamApply platform would at least guarantee that when somebody visits your landing page and they, let's say, select their citizenship, then they only see information that's applicable to them. And in marketing, I mean, that's now we're talking about personalization. It's essentially you're minimizing the time that they need to spend to find the most relevant information for them. And I think applicants appreciate that, especially international applicants, which brings me to my next question. What do you think about international student recruitment as a unique aspect of student recruitment overall? And what do you think is most misunderstood about it?
Well, first, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is the fact that prospective students are not leads in the sense they're not just numbers. So maybe there is a great effort to have leads and numbers, but if you really want to recruit those numbers and transform them into applicants, you need to really work on what you offer and what is your what is your communication to them. And so maybe that is one of the things that comes to my mind. So we have several leads, we have many leads, we have thousands of leads, but then behind each lead there is a person that might be a future student of the University of Pavia. So take care of that as well.
Beautiful. So in that sense, what would you say are the three, let's say, most common mistakes in terms of international student recruitment that admissions teams could make?
Well, first of all, you need to, when you process a lot of applications, there is always that person that keeps on asking questions. You try to be the clearest you can, but still they don't get it or they don't want to hear that, or maybe you just had a bad day and then you just want to never answer to them anymore. Or in that case, just breathe in, breathe out, put yourself in their shoes, and be patient, and still answer for the 30th time the question, and then maybe invite him or her to a virtual appointment, and then maybe it's easier to solve the issue. So that is the first thing I want to say. So don't lose control. Be patient. Then, well, you asked me three, so let me just think about that.
I mean, the first one was already good enough, so
That sums all three. Well, I would definitely say that, but I'm sure later on many more things will come to my mind.
yeah, and it boils down to listening. And listening is easy when we're in good states of mind, but how do we deal with in moments when we're not expressing our best self and best of our knowledge and presence? So I appreciate you pointing out to this. What do
Absolutely.
you
Also because, oh, sorry, Asmik. I just wanted to add that what I always say to the team is answer with what you would like to be, what you wish you want to hear. So that is the thing about listening and put yourself in their shoes.
Beautiful. That's the golden rule. What do you think about generational trends? I mean, at this point, I guess most applicants are Gen Z or what's called Gen Alpha.
Alpha, yeah.
What have you noticed any specific behavioral patterns that should be taken into consideration for these generations?
Yes, I have noticed. Well, they don't read in the sense that it's not just the new generations I want to say, but everyone. We are always over stimulated, and whenever you send someone, when you receive also maybe I'm a millennial, and maybe whenever I receive some, I mean, a written text, maybe I don't dive into it. And let's imagine Gen Z or Gen Alpha. And so we have noticed that. So we also in our communication strategy and on that, our international team, marketing team that I was mentioning before helped us. We reshaped a little bit. I don't want to say we reshaped it completely, but we reshaped a little bit the texts that we send out to students. So, for example, when we have, the offer types on DreamApply, and every offer type has a text, and there are ones that we really need to tell them important things, such as the documents they need to provide once they are in Pavia or before they come to Pavia, or the visa information. And I am aware we have long texts, but we try to shorten them and maybe use the bold things, or that is the main the thing that I really notice the most.
That's very true. And I think, generally speaking, in marketing, when you're working with this audience groups, keeping it more clear and concise is key, but also potentially diversifying the content formats. Sometimes maybe a
True.
short video or reel might do the job better and might be more scalable.
That's true. In fact, last year we did, or 2 years ago, I don't remember. We, for the first time, we did some video tutorials on how to apply, or on how to pay the application fee, or how to request the visa, not the request the visa, but issue the pre-enrollment request on the national Italian platform. So we did those, and we saw many, many views. We didn't, honestly, I didn't expect so many views on those videos. So maybe I'm aware that they don't watch the whole video, maybe just those parts that we underlined on specific moment of the application, but that was something that we did. Yeah, maybe we should do a TikTok on how to apply 15 seconds, and we would think about that.
Yeah, and I mean it's also almost like the return on investment of video and audio content. And if you're a recipient of that, you don't need to be as an active of a participant. So in marketing recently, there's quite a lot of conversation about video and podcasting specifically, for example, having generally speaking a higher return on investment than other fields. This is so interesting. I feel like I could talk about this for a long time with you, but I know we don't have unlimited amount of time. So maybe just a few more questions. In terms of trends that you're noticing in 2025, what are those that you feel are going to or have the biggest impact on student recruitment? Things such as AI or anything else that you've noticed that you feel student recruitment teams and leaders should take into consideration.
Yeah. That is a great point to discuss. Thank you. Well, how AI, for example, arrived on our, I mean, it was there, but now we cannot, it's there. It's there. And I think if we are able to use it as a tool, it can be useful. So, for example, there are some things that can be done. I mean, we've never explored that space that much, the AI space that much. But I believe that, for example, talking about credential evaluations, talking about diplomas, and if there was a feature that could tell me if that diploma was forged or was manipulated somehow, that would be something that would really help me. Although the team is very well trained on how to, distinguish and what can be a forged diploma or not, but also raising AI, also, maybe AI can create a great fake diploma, and then it becomes a bit difficult too. So maybe, yeah, AI. And on the applicant side, we have noticed that motivation letters have been written by AI.
Yes.
In the sense that most of the times they look the same. So maybe they're not going to be templates online, but also other times they have, very, words that a student maybe would never use, and on that side, for example, professors, I want to say last year for the first year, decided for some courses not to request them anymore. So not to request motivation letters anymore, because it was, at the end of the day, was a waste of time. Was a waste of time for the student, but for the commission. And so they were just going to interview the student and ask them the motivations to be there. So that, and I don't want to say that talking about AI, I mean, I still really believe in the role of credential evaluation as a person. So I don't want to say that AI could take the place of someone that does that. Also because talking about, for example, automated communications, on a side, they're great because they let you do, I mean, you just have do a click, and they do the work for you. On the other side, communication one-to-one, or having a communication that is as much as you can tailored on that person, or if you cannot do a one-to-one, because I mean, it's difficult, but maybe tailored to the students that apply for that specific degree, maybe that's something that will help you at the end of the day, having that applicant to become an enrolled student and come to Pavia.
Beautiful. I agree with you completely, and we published a piece on this as well. AI's role in admissions management, and I agree with you. It's kind of a double-edged sword. So on one hand, there are more possibilities for us to use better tools, but on the other hand, they imply certain risks, like the motivation letters thing that you mentioned. Actually, for that reason, there's been quite a lot of interest in our video interview feature, because essentially you just ask someone a question and they have 15 seconds to think about and reply. So the possibility of faking that is so much lower than, writing a motivation letter that uses too many ChatGPT words. So our approach is kind of balanced. I mean, so many of our features already allow a lot of automations, but through integrations such as Zapier, institutions still have a possibility to do that. This interview would be incomplete if you didn't speak a little bit about the University of Pavia specifically. So maybe you could share a few words about the university, or if there are potential applicants listening to us, why should they be interested in coming and becoming your students?
Okay, thank you, Rasmik. Well, if you made through all this interview, then I can tell you something about University of Pavia, which was founded in 1361. And so now it has 664 years. But actually, the King of Italy and Lotario, and later it will become the emperor in 825, opened the first schools of liberal arts and religious sciences, I think. So, I mean, this year would be 1200 years we celebrated 1200 years of the University of Pavia. So, I mean, apart from that, the University of Pavia is the most ancient university in Lombardy and one of the most ancient universities in Italy and in Europe. So I always say that we are very proud to be part of the Coimbra group, which is the group of 40 universities that are the oldest university in Europe. And now we are part of a European alliance, which is called EC2U. And we are 9 partners, and we've been working a lot with the other partners in creating joint master's degrees and creating and shaping the European higher education area and the future of higher education. So, I mean, Pavia is very involved also in what will be the talks, what are the talks about the European degree, for example. So very recently, a workshop was conducted in Pavia with several rectors from Italy, from European universities, and also from with representatives of the European Commission. So we are very into the international environment and very proud of that. Very proud of that.
Congratulations on the university anniversary. And I must say, I've studied in 3 different countries, but when I communicated with you and other Italian partners, I feel like I missed out by not having done that in Italy. But let's see. Daria, is there a question that I haven't asked yet that you kind of wish I had asked?
I think we discussed about many things, and I really want to thank you, Razmik, for this opportunity, and it was a great talk. And as I always say, and also should be here somewhere, may the student in you live forever. So this is what I always say to you, if you want to come to Italy anytime, and to all the students out there, all the people out there.
Thank you so much. I love that. May the student in you live forever. I love that. I will nevertheless ask one last question. If so, our listeners, admissions officers, deans, if they could walk away with one insight from our conversation and remember that, what would that be?
Put yourself in students' shoes and make them feel home, far away from home.
That's beautiful.
That's it.
Short,
That's
concise, but nevertheless comprehensive and deep. Thank you so much, Daria. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being such a big champion of student enrollment, of admissions management, a champion of DreamApply. We appreciate you, and hopefully this podcast is helpful to our listeners. As always, we invite you to reach out if you have any comments or if you have any ideas that you'd like to be discussed in this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back with another episode soon. Goodbye.
Thank you.